Welcome back to the MedTech Dialogue. Today, I am delighted to host a leader who is transforming the diagnostic landscape in India, Mr. Rohit Sheshadri, the CEO of Genie Laboratories. From starting his career in investment banking and corporate strategy to now leading one of the India's fastest growing diagnostic companies. At this stage, India is witnessing the rising incidences of infectious disease, antimicrobial resistance, and the urgent need of precision medicines. This is where Rohit and his team are pioneering diagnostic innovations that can transform the diagnostic landscape in India and that can transform the patient outcomes in India. So today we are going to have a conversation with Rohit on various topics starting from the diagnostic landscape in India, the molecular testing requirements, why it is necessary to have it in India, how as a company, if you are a diagnostic company, how you can scale up parallelly having the regulatory compliances as well. And later on we will see in another 10 years what are the newer diagnostic innovations coming to India. Welcome to the MedTech Dialogue, Rohit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashwini. It's a real pleasure to be here on your show. I think through MedTech Dialogue, you're doing a wonderful job of creating a platform for various perspectives to be aired, and I think it's all going to contribute to furthering this, the MedTech space in India. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Yeah. So Rohit, you had an interesting journey. You started your career in investment banking and corporate strategy. How is this shift happened from banking sector to healthcare sector?
I would love to say that this was all by design, but I think it is by chance. There's a lot of serendipity involved, and everything that I've done, work-wise, education-wise, has led me to where I am. The diagnostic journey started for me with Metropolis, right? It gave me an opportunity so I was heading mergers and acquisitions there.
Okay.
And that was a good segue for me to leverage my financial transactions experience.
Okay.
And at Metropolis, I got this lovely opportunity to understand the diagnostic industry up close. And for the last 3 years or so, I've been with Genie. So it's been around, I think, a 5-year journey in the diagnostic space. And looking back, I think, I wouldn't change a thing, right? Because diagnostics is a sunrise industry. It's one which has abundant opportunities. And as a professional, you would want to be associated with such an industry. So very fortunate to be here.
Great. It's good to know, Rohit. So Rohit, what was the founding vision of molecular diagnostics in Genie Lab?
So Genie is actually a very, very old company, right? It's 35-year-old. Mm-hmm. It was started by Dr. Babu, who was a pioneer in molecular biology products, right? And Genie has this legacy of coming up with many first of its kind products focused on the teaching and research institute space. Genie was acquired by the Bharat Daftari group in 2021. Mr. Bharat Daftari had this vision of wanting to drive the adoption of molecular diagnostics up. As compared to the West, India was lagging behind, right? So in India, pre-COVID, we would do around 1% of all diagnostic testing was on molecular platform. In the West, that number is north of 20%. There's a big gap, and there are tremendous advantages that molecular diagnostics can bring, especially in the clinical care sector. One of the biggest advantages is turnaround time. So by reducing time to diagnostic helps with better clinical outcome. So his vision was to drive this adoption. And when we saw the entire landscape, one of the big gaps we saw was unavailability of made in India, made for India kits, right? And that's what we wanted to focus on. And that was the rationale behind acquiring a company like Genie, which had tremendous legacy in molecular biology products, which would help us in developing kits for molecular diagnostic.
Okay, so you mean to say the Genie had these molecular diagnostic kits available before COVID also?
No, it had some of the enzymes which go into these kits.
Okay.
And it helped us shorten the time frame for development.
So maybe post-COVID,
it was I think overlapped. So
okay.
he had this vision which just before the first COVID wave, right? And that's when this whole group was set up.
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, RT-PCR became a household name post-COVID.
Yes.
So that really helped us, especially create a lot on the infrastructure side. So the services side, we have now multiple labs that have molecular diagnostic infrastructure. And what was lacking was these India-made kits, right? And so just to elaborate on that, when kits are imported, right, there are two basic issues that are there. One is these kits are expensive, and second is these are what are called multiplexes. So in one test, you check for multiple targets.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a finite number of targets. And when a kit is developed, say in the Western world, it's designed for the pathogen conditions there. Which might be very different from India, right? Because the weather is different, the sanitation conditions are different. So the pathogens that thrive in the West are not the same ones that thrive here. So a lot of the kits which were imported are not 100% designed for the epidemiological conditions of India. That's one, and like I said, the cost, right? So both these factors put together, the impact it has is it forces diagnostic service companies or labs to do a more centralized or batch-based testing. What that does is if samples from all over India are coming to say a lab in Bangalore or Mumbai, you lose a lot of time in transportation, right? Also the weather conditions in India are harsh, so sample integrity is diminished. So all these factors put together, molecular was never given a chance in India, right? Clinicians never saw the benefits of a quick turnaround time, very accurate results because of these issues. And so this is the gap that we identified, that if we have kits which are made in India, which are affordable, which are made for India, which means that the coverage is very specific to the Indian conditions, it would really help boost the adoption of molecular diagnostics.
Yeah, it's heartening to know that Genie is aligning themselves with the India's vision, and your products are as per the Indian epidemiological scenario. So, congratulations on that. Could you please elaborate on your product portfolio on which you are currently working?
Sure. So we have a portfolio of around 10 kits that we have developed, and we are very focused on the infectious disease space, right? So we have kits for, we have single plexes for hepatitis B, hepatitis C. We have kits for MTB. We have kits for tropical fever, respiratory infections, influenzas, and for sepsis and AMR.
Okay. So all these are in development stage or is commercialized?
Yeah, so these are in different stages. Most of them are done from the development stage. We are now in the process of applying for our regulatory approvals and also generating as much validation data as possible, especially on some of our new IVD devices.
Okay, thank you. So Rohit, there are a lot of buzz around molecular diagnostics. So how it is different from normal diagnostics?
Well, Dr. Ashwini, I am a chartered accountant, but I'll try to answer this question to the best of my ability.
Sure.
So, molecular diagnostics is basically a branch of diagnostics which deals with identifying targets through their DNA signatures, right? So, it's about identifying the DNA, which is very unique, and because of that, this branch of diagnostics is extremely accurate, right?
Okay.
The chances of error are close to
So
zero.
we can say they are more specific?
Extremely.
Okay.
Because it's as opposed to phenotypic methods where people observe targets through their physical characteristics and then make a identification. In molecular diagnostics, because it's all DNA based, it's extremely accurate because it's unique.
Okay.
Yeah. And molecular is a broad space and is a space which is now getting a huge amount of attention. So while we are focused on the infectious disease part and we are more focused on RT-PCR as a platform, but there are other platforms and other areas that come under the space of molecular. Two which are very prominent are, one is oncology. So a lot of molecular testing happens on oncology because it's a very good platform to identify gene mutations.
Okay.
Right? And the second platform that's very prevalent apart from RT-PCR is what's called NGS. That's the other buzzword, which is next gen sequencing. So that's again very, very good, from identifying from a preventive perspective, right? What kind of genetic disorders
Biomarkers, you was no.
kind of,
Kind
yeah,
of, okay.
kind of. So it's about identifying what gene mutations are there, something is hereditary. It can be a early signal of future illnesses. So it's that's I think the next phase of molecular diagnostic expansion.
Yeah, great.
And I think both, if I look at RT-PCR and NGS, they are extremely complementary. A very good example of that is what happened during probably the third wave or second wave of COVID, right? Where RT-PCR was used as a platform to identify whether the patient is positive or not. And then next-gen sequencing was used to identify which version of COVID it was, right? Whether it was Delta, Omicron, and so on. So I think both platforms came together extremely well to identify, contain the epidemic.
That's great. So Rohit, the founding principle of Genie is trust, speed, and innovations.
Right.
So, do you have some examples of your product which align with Genie's vision?
Absolutely. So I'll take a little bit of time to cover this one. So I like to talk about one of the main products in our portfolio, which is on sepsis management, right? So just for your benefit, right, and the benefit of your viewers, sepsis is a silent epidemic. It is the leading cause of deaths in ICU globally. To just put some numbers, right? So in India, every year we lose around 3 million lives, which is 30 lakh lives a year to sepsis. To put that in context, across all COVID waves, right, the 3 years that we saw COVID waves, India lost around 5 lakh lives. So you can imagine the scale of sepsis and the volume of it and the burden it creates.
So,
on the
sepsis
healthcare
as
system.
a complication of COVID, you mean to say?
No, so sepsis is a condition where so there is a primary infection which then enters the bloodstream. So the pathogens enter your bloodstream, and your sepsis is your body's reaction to the infection. It could be, right? Of course. So
because of decrease in immunity.
Immunity, absolutely.
because
It
that's
could be
where-
one of the factors.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yes.
I don't have data, but maybe there was a surge in sepsis cases
So
that year.
that's the
Could
way
be.
you are talking, I
Could be.
can think that being a doctor,
Yeah.
that could be one of the reasons that
Could be.
the rise in
Yeah.
incidence of sepsis is
Absolutely.
because of decrease in immunity. Because
Could
of
be.
COVID. Yeah.
So, like I was saying, so we wanted to focus on sepsis because it's such a big issue and it does not get the attention that probably it deserves. Right? So one of the reasons for this high level of mortality that's there in sepsis is the gold standard diagnostic solution today. So today the doctors rely on blood culture for diagnosing sepsis. Blood culture is probably one of the oldest platforms for diagnosis and has several benefits. One of the drawbacks though is the turnaround time. It takes on an average around 72 hours
Yeah.
for the results to come through.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And sepsis is a condition which escalates very rapidly. So there is data where it says that every hour of delayed treatment increases the mortality rate by 8%. So that's massive, right? And because of this, the condition escalating so rapidly, doctors don't have the luxury of time to wait 72 hours for the results to come through.
Yeah.
So what doctors typically do is they go with a broad spectrum course of antibiotics with the hope that something will work. And this poses a few challenges, right? Number one is it's broad spectrum, it's not targeted. So the mortality rate is high, right? Because you're not giving targeted therapy early on.
Yeah.
Second is, even if the therapy works, it typically takes a couple of days for the dosage to get finished, which means the patient is in the ICU for that much longer. Now, this has two impacts, right? One is it drives patient cost up because every day in the ICU is expensive. The second issue of this broad spectrum course of antibiotics is that it takes normally a couple of days for the dosage to get finished, which means the patient is in the ICU for that much longer.
Yeah.
And that has two implications, right? One is it every day in the ICU is expensive, so it drives patient cost up. And secondly, it exposes the patient to hospital-acquired infections, and because these are immunocompromised patients, so they are more susceptible to infections. Thirdly, this whole abuse of antibiotics, right, through broad spectrum dosages, contributes to the AMR burden or the antimicrobial resistance burden, right? And today we are seeing India face one of the probably most aggressive forms of resistance pattern we are seeing globally. So this is a challenge for the healthcare industry in the country. So the root cause for all of these issues is that the clinician does not have the support of a early yet accurate diagnostic solution, right? So that is what we wanted to focus on, and we felt that this is an area which the volume is huge, the impact of a solution that we can bring could be widespread. So that's why we focused on a early diagnostic solution for sepsis management. And today we have a team of around 20 scientists in our facility in Bangalore, and proud to say that we've been able to develop a kit which is one of its kind. We have not seen any other kit in the world that can provide a sepsis result in a 3 to 4 hour
3 to
time
4
frame.
hours, yeah.
And when I say sepsis, I mean, so our kit identifies bacterial targets, fungal targets. It also identifies the resistance pattern in these in the identified targets. So what it means for the clinician, right? It means that in that 3 to 4 hour window, the clinician knows what pathogen is causing the infection. The clinician knows what families of antibiotics it would be resistant to. So by a process of elimination, the clinician is able to come to an extremely narrow and targeted course of therapy in that short window, right?
Yeah. So the current practice of the clinician, they immediately put patient on antibiotics, broad spectrum antibiotics, so they can wait for 3 to 4 hours to get the results, accurate results from your kits, and then they can select the.
That's the objective.
That's the objective.
Absolutely.
Particular antibiotics. That's a really promising product.
So yeah, the main objective of our sepsis kit, right, and how it ties into our vision is we are now able to give the clinicians a early yet accurate diagnostic result, which can help the clinician with real clinical outcomes, right, through narrow spectrum antibiotics, which helps the patient, which also helps the clinician fulfill their antibiotic stewardship responsibilities.
Great. So Rohit, how has been your journey at Genie so far, and what are your plans to scale up to the next stage?
Right. So it's been a very interesting journey. We started off our R&D effort at an incubation center in Bangalore. So there's this center called Bangalore Bioinnovation Center. We call it BBC. And that was really helpful in the early stages, right? Because the whole ecosystem they had there was conducive for a startup like us, where we didn't have to invest a lot and we could use the shared resources and the facilities available there. We spent a lot of our R&D journey over there, and when we reached the end of our R&D part and we were about to commercialize, and we, along with Genie Expert, we decided that now is the right time for us to move out of an incubation center.
Yeah.
And we then set up our own facility. So we currently have around a 14,000 square foot CGMP grade facility in Bangalore.
Great.
Where we are doing our commercial manufacturing. We have applied for our regulatory licenses. So now the next phase of our journey starts, right? So we are at the initial part of commercialization, starting with the regulatory approvals. And that's where Genie Expert comes in for us.
Thank you. And we are equally pleased to support your company in getting all the regulatory hurdles. In fact, we are also pleased to conduct your clinical performance evaluation on sepsis kits. That's
Yeah.
for us also. It is one of the great achievement, and to working with those reputed hospitals. That
Correct.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think that was a conscious call that we jointly took, right? That
Yeah.
it's better to go with top tier
top-notch
hospitals.
hospitals. Yeah.
It increases the timeline, it increases the cost, but I think associating with the big names hopefully will have, will bear fruit.
Yeah. So your first
in our
founding
journey.
principle of trust.
Absolutely.
That's what
it
comes
ties
there.
into that. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, Rohit, in current scenario, a lot of companies are struggling to keep up the quality standards.
Correct.
So, as you grow, sometimes the quality gets compromised. So, how do you see your company in the next stage where you expand your foot to US and UK and other regulated market, but still you want to have the same quality standards or maybe more,
Right.
because these country need
Correct.
a certain level of quality standard. Yeah.
So I think we've been a little blessed in that respect because our promoter, the Bharat Daftari group, they have been in the pharma space for the longest time. So pharma, healthcare, broadly, and even industries like aerospace, these are all zero defect industries, right? Where defect is not tolerated because you
Absolutely.
can't afford
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So that culture is something which we've been very conscious of imbibing and implementing at Genie. So although this is an IVD product, it doesn't enter the human body, but clinical decisions are taken based on our
Absolutely.
reports, right? And therefore we lay that same level of care or standard when it comes to quality. And I think there are a few aspects, right, when it comes to quality. One is, like I said, culture and values. So that's the overarching aspect. And when I say that, you have to also be conscious that there is a cost associated with quality.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't come free. There are a lot of
Absolutely.
hidden costs, and once you're conscious about that, and you take appropriate calls, it translates into the culture being implemented. Right? So that's what we have done at Genie. So we have this overarching principle, and then we have the systems and processes to support that, and then comes our team, right? Because those are the guys who are implementing it. So we've invested a lot in our team in terms of bringing people with the right experience we have, and exposure. And what we also do is typically you would see that teams are operating at 120, 130% of their capacity, right? So because in an R&D stage or just at the initial stages of commercialization, normally you see that. And that's what leads to the first thing that takes an impact is quality. People start taking shortcuts, SOPs goes for a toss, documentation goes out of the window, everything is audit specific. So we've tried to not get into that zone. We've I would say overstaffed a little bit so that our team has the necessary bandwidth to focus on quality, because from day one we were clear that while India is our first focus, we also wanted to look at the export market, even to highly regulated markets. And for that, this culture is very important. Right? It's very difficult once the company has gone through a particular stage to then reinforce the culture.
Yeah.
So we've been conscious about that with a long-term view that we have.
Yeah. So the quality standards which currently you are following. So I believe, because since we are also a service provider for you, we have seen your facility. So we are very confident that the same quality standards can also be replicated, or maybe it will be useful for you to obtain approval in these countries.
Correct.
Like US FDA and CMA. And Clinic Expert is always there to assist you.
Yes.
To
No, I
take
think
your
that's what I was saying, right? That we jointly, and
Yeah.
one of the good things that I think in hindsight we did was just at the end of our R&D cycle, we involved you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we were able to, while we were setting up the plant, you gave us a lot of suggestions on how we should have the layout.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to then change infrastructure,
Yeah, later
all of these
stage,
things
yeah.
later. So the incremental cost of setting up infrastructure for compliance with even regulated markets is not very high. So I think we took the right decision of bearing that additional investment. I'm sure it'll bear fruit
Absolutely.
over time.
Yeah, absolutely, Rohit.
Yeah.
So, Rohit, you have seen how Genie has progressed from R&D stage to a commercial stage. So, what advice would you like to give to a startup company? Because what we have observed as a regulatory service provider or clinical trial service provider, that startups, they don't take regulatory seriously, and we as a company, we do understand that that's where the regulatory service provider, they should be holding their hands at the initial, starting from the initial stage only.
I totally agree, Dr. Ashwini, because your commercialization won't happen till you have regulatory approvals, right? Or commercialization of the right extent won't happen. So it is as important as your go-to-market strategy or even your R&D part, because without all of these components falling in place, you're not going to be able to see the business progress. So my suggestion or recommendation to startups would be, and I've seen that in person, to engage with experts from the industry on the regulatory front as early in the process as possible. There are always decisions you take, right? And even in R&D stage, we've taken a lot of inputs from you on what kind of panels or how the composition of a panel should be from a regulatory perspective, which will help us shorten the time frame.
Shorten the time frame.
What would go under the predicate route? What would come under the new IVD route? We planned our clinical trial much earlier.
Yeah.
Envisaging that there could be a
Query from
predicate versus new IVD route issue. So that helped us save, I think, 6 months, right? And 6 months in the life of a startup is a lot.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be engage with a regulatory expert at the earliest, and involve them in the various decision-making points.
Yeah.
It definitely helps, because it's very difficult to backtrack.
Absolutely.
So it's better to get all advice upfront, include all perspectives in your path forward.
Yeah, and just to add further is that there is always possibility of having parallel strategies.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's where you can save a lot of time.
Yeah.
And if you're launching your product early, you will get 6 months of commercialization.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If not, then you are waiting for 6 months.
I think the dreaded word in a startup space is burn, right? So the faster you get to commercialization, the faster you get,
you generate revenue
over the word burn.
Yeah.
And you start generating money.
Yes.
And that's the key to success for a startup, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The commercialization, how do you shorten your commercialization time frame? And I think a lead start on the regulatory front goes a long way in that.
Yeah. Rohit, we are witnessing recently a lot of growth in AI space, and since diagnostic and AIs, they can be joined together, because diagnostic is also something which helps in prevention. There are so many AI tools also. They help in prevention of diseases. So how AI and diagnostics can be combined, and we can have a better products?
So to be honest, currently we are more focused on the biology part of innovation and not so much on the tech. But one area I see where we could use AI and quite extensively is in terms of report interpretation, right? Because while interpreting the report, there are multiple factors which a clinician considers, right? And because of the sheer quantum of that includes, the patient's clinical history, all the vitals. It includes the other diagnostic tests which are done. So to bring all of this together in ICU environment, sometimes for the clinician, there are chances that something might get missed out. And that's where we are hoping AI could come in. And I think it's a platform which in areas like this, which involves handling a lot of data points and coming up with you know historical based evidence, is a very it's the use case for AI, right?
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
this is one area where we would soon explore getting into the AI space ourselves.
Yeah, and in terms of data interpretation also, like once you have a results from diagnostics, the data interpretation from AI can come quickly because
Absolutely.
you don't need to wait the pathologist or microbiologist to come with the opinion. So
No,
doctors
true,
can,
and
yeah.
and it's just that, like I said, there are so many data points that have correlations,
Yeah.
right? And a tool like AI can bring all that up. Humans are doing that today, right? And I think they're
Yes.
doing a great job. But I think AI could be a great support to clinicians, to microbiologists, molecular biologists, when it comes to bringing a lot of these data points to come to a very accurate diagnostic.
Yeah. So Rohit, you are witnessing you that CDSCO has been regulating IVD products since 2017. So the new rule got implemented from 1st January 2018. And there has been sequential, classification of IVD products which got regulated. And now almost all kind of IVD products are regulated.
Correct.
So in terms of government policies, in terms of Ministry of Health policies or CDSCO policies, what is your opinion? Do you want some changes, or you are seeing that India is already doing fine in terms of regulations? What is your?
So I think yes and no. I think diagnostics is at a very early stage, even from a regulatory perspective, and I think it'll still take some time for the regulations to be established, like how you see in pharma, right? It's a very clear process. So for that to happen in diagnostics might take time. My hope is it happens sooner rather than later. At a broader policy level, a lot of good policies are in place, right? And but it's the implementation of those policies and how those actually translate into real impact. That's where probably the focus should shift to. And just looking at the entire macroeconomic times that we are in, right, with all things that are happening in the US and whatnot, I think now there are a lot of tailwinds which suggest that we are at that cusp, right? The government has great intent of Make in India, and now because of all of these factors, there's more incentive for the government to actually implement that, right? And we are hoping we are in the right space at the right time, and these tailwinds really help us in our journey.
Yeah. So as a regulatory service provider, we have ourselves witnessed that there has been definitely a lot of changes, which is industry conducive, I would say. So yeah, you will see a lot of changes happening in coming years, and I'm hopeful that it will be industry centric.
Hoping for that.
Rohit, you have taken Genie from R&D stage to a commercial stage. So what kind of leadership lessons you have learned here?
Oh, quite a few, right? And one of the probably most important ones is Murphy's law, right? So whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and especially in an R&D setup, it happens, right? You anticipate that this product, whatever issues you're facing, this round of iteration will happen, but you'll encounter some new issues. When you're taking it from a R&D lab to a clinical lab, there is different set of issues that you'll encounter. So the lesson is that anticipate issues, and from a financial point of view, make sure that you have enough resources to take you through this iterative process, right? So the key therefore is to keep your expenses or your burn at a very low number, so that you have a longer runway to cater to some of these nuances which are part of the game. So that's that. And probably the other one is identify your weaknesses, right? So there are, I think, three broad components. One is on the technical side or the scientific side, one is on the commercial side, and one is on the regulatory side. So these are very important pillars, and make sure that you have enough strength in each one of them. What's not available internally, go outside, seek help. But all these three need to come together for the business to succeed.
Okay. And that's a very good insight.
Thank you.
So Rohit, what is the vision of Genie Lab for next 10 years?
There are a few tracks that we have envisaged. First and most important for us is getting the regulatory approvals in India, getting a proof of scale in India done. Right. While we are confident of some of the products that we have developed and the fact that it solves a real need that's prevalent in today's healthcare ecosystem. But it's always a journey, right? Creating the awareness, the adoption drive. One is go through that process. So today we are 100% focused on that. As we get comfort from a proof of scale perspective in India, we plan to then look at the export market, both regulated as well as semi-regulated market.
Okay.
We understand that the regulated market journey, while there is immense potential there, it takes a lot of time, effort, and money to get those approvals, right? It's a long process, it's cumbersome, it's expensive. So we are mindful of that, and that's why we want to first have some traction in India, generate revenues, so that we are able to self-fund our expansion.
Okay.
So that's the second stream that we are working on. And the third stream is constant innovation. So there are already the next set of pipeline products for our R&D team. We're just in the process of finalizing that roadmap, so that we constantly have a steady flow of innovative products coming in, which will keep hopefully taking us further and further.
That's great. And just to further reiterate, and I'd like to share that Clinic Expert is also providing services for US FDA, CEIVD, and we would be happy to partner with your company for these places as well, and help you navigating the regulatory journey as well.
This is great news for us.
Yeah.
Right? We don't need to now search a partner in the US or Europe. We have a partner right here to take us through this journey.
Sure.
So congratulations on this part, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining me here today at MedTech Dialogue. Your insight and the way you have taken Genie to a new stage will inspire a lot of startup companies, a lot of Indian companies who want to adopt similar pathways. This dialogue has been really insightful. Thank you so much again for coming here.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini, for having me. I wish you both at Genie Expert and at MedTech the very best. I think both these initiatives are the need of the hour. So wish you all the best on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.